Well, hello. Today's movie is Blade Trinity, the final in the Wesley Snipes Blade trilogy. A group of vampires are investigating an ancient tomb in Syria and awaken something. Blade continues his war against the vampires. He is set up to kill a human and is framed for the murder by the vampires. The police arrest him and they kill Whistler. He is busted out of jail by a resistance group called the Night Stalkers. Led by Whistler's daughter Abigail, and they have developed a virus to kill the vampires. Only they will need the blood of Drake, the first vampire. Blade has a confrontation with Drake, who wants to test Blade. Along the way, they find the blood farm the vampires are running, and Blade puts an end to it. While gone, though, Drake kills most of the Night Stalkers and captures King and a young girl. Blade and Abigail assault the Vampire HQ. Blade then has a final confrontation with Drake. So this is the final in the Wesley Snipes Blade trilogy. It was directed by David Goyer, who also wrote the first two, and he wrote this one. And it had a budget of $65 million and only made $132 million. So I guess it kind of almost made money, but just a little short because it had higher obvious budget. And right away, I guess Snipes did not like the choice of Goyer as the director. And he also had problems with the cast of Jessica Biel and Ryan Reynolds. He thought they took too much screen time from it, and he also didn't really care for the humor that Ryan Reynolds offered. And I kind of agree with some of that. Ryan Reynolds was basically trying out his Deadpool character in this movie, and while it was great for Deadpool, I don't really think it went well with Blade. The first two movies were very serious, and I think they should have kept it with this third one. And of course, it had a lot of problems, because Wesley Snipes didn't care for, the director and where it was going. I guess he refused to interact with the crew and actors and director. Instead, he communicated through notes or an assistant. And sometimes he would refuse to do stuff, and they had to use a stand-in or CG. And there was also apparently problems that Wesley Snipes ended up suing because he claimed he didn't get paid fully, and that they kept him out of decisions. And he was an executive producer, and similarly, I guess his agency sued him because they weren't getting commissions. And I guess a lot of it, they just said, well, this was a very unpleasant movie experience for everyone involved. And I kind of, could tell that, I think it transferred to the movie because it lacked what the first two movies had. It's definitely the weakest of the trilogy. I enjoy it. In a way, it's still a fun action movie, but I didn't think the humor really worked well, and definitely the villain, Dominic Purcell, who's Drake, the first vampire, he was a very underwhelming villain. like they show the comic book of the old Marv Wolfman Tomb of Dracula. And if they used that cat Dracula, that Marv Wolfman made that was one really scary, badass villain, and that could have been really effective. But the villain they used, he was just kind of like, he was kind of like upset that they woke him, and he was just kind of bored with the whole thing. It seemed throughout the whole movie, and he was, not very threatening in a lot of ways, and yeah, it was a very, underwhelming villain. I enjoyed the movie. Like I say, it was still fun. I loved the Jessica Biel character. I think she was real badass and beautiful. And Ryan Reynolds was okay, but I just don't think the humor was appropriate for a Blade movie. So this was kind of the last of the trilogy, obviously, after this poor experience. They were talking about doing another, and there was even, apparently some plans to cross it over with the Underworld franchise, which, a deleted alternate ending kind of confirms that when the Night Stalkers are out hunting werewolves. Instead, though, they did make a TV series that was on the Spike Network. Lasted for a season. It didn't have Blade. It had some rapper named Sticky Fingers. And it was actually kind of a good series, I thought. I mean, I remember watching it. There's nothing wrong with it. Also, I guess, Blade did make an appearance recently in Deadpool and Wolverine. Otherwise, there's been talk about a reboot with Mahershala. I can't really pronounce his name, Ali. That's never gotten nowhere. Of course, Kevin Feige apparently has been saying, well, you can't just put them in leather and have them kill vampires. You have to have something special. And to be honest, everyone's pointed out, no, that's really all you need in a Blade movie is just get them out there and killing vampires. Do it in some inventive way in that. And, you have a great, solid Blade movie. Instead, you got to, thanks to their white women in the HR and marketing, they have to put 3 or 4 girl bosses along the shepherdom, sounded like. And anyway, it's kind of a dead project, and that's probably the best thing for it. Until they, get better, competent people there, I think it probably shouldn't bother with it. I mean, really, if you want a successful Blade movie, just get Wesley Snipes back, and that's what people want. So, it's the end of the trilogy. I liked all the trilogies. This is the weakest one, but still, it was enjoyable. And, if you stuck with me this long, I thank you. You're a unique individual.